Well, all right. Welcome back to As It Should Be. Paul Bertolino here in the world-famous As It Should Be studios. And, well, today I am doing kind of a slightly different video from what I normally do. It's sort of like a combination of two different things. Sometimes I do my ranking the singles videos, and I often do them with Crystal Durant and Tommy Von Voigt. And I often do track versus track videos. Well, this is kind of a combination of the two. And it's also... It's the Dollar Bin Dad Rock Special. Yeah, it's basically the Dollar Bin Dad Rock Special, because I am doing my top 10 favorite singles of the Guess Who versus the Doobie Brothers. I got a record back there. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, and I mean, come on, could you get more dad rock than that? Come on, I mean, really, like 70s dad rock, the mustache contingent, extraordinaire. Guess Who and Doobie Brothers. I mean, come on. Yeah. Well, what I've done is I ranked the singles for both bands, and I intended to do my top 10, but what happened is I ended up in each case with one extra track that just had to be on the list, and I thought, well, come on. This list goes to 11. Yeah, so it's actually my top 11 singles ranked from each band, and they're going up against one another in a track versus track battle. Whew, God, okay. Now, just a slight bit of history with these bands. I go way back with the Doobie Brothers, okay? I mean, I loved the Doobie Brothers. I mean, I remember being conscious of them, cognizant, I guess, of them being on the radio in the 70s as a kid. I remember listening to the music and China Grove and all that stuff in the earlier 70s when that was current. And I became more interested in them as the decade wore on. Like by the late 70s, early 80s, I really liked the Doobie Brothers. A lot of that was was because of the influence of my Aunt Patty, who loved the Doobie Brothers. And she particularly got into them when the Michael McDonald period hit. She had Minute by Minute, and I remember One Step Closer came out, she had that. And I kind of was along for that ride. I really loved it, and she had the Best of the Doobies album, which was a huge part of my early music listening years. And yeah, so that was a big part of my early days of listening to music. Now, the Guess Who, I knew a lot of these songs, but I wasn't really necessarily into the Guess Who, and I didn't have any Guess Who albums. I remember that Best of the Guess Who album being everywhere and people having it, aunts and uncles and friends of aunts and uncles and friends of mom and all that. People had that record, kind of like everybody had Best of the Doobies. But as far as really becoming a fan and digging into the music, I only just got into the Guess Who. If you watched my recent record roundup video, you'll see, I mean, I pretty much only just have acquired like a ton of Guess Who albums. I didn't have any before. I believe I had exactly 0 before. Well, now I have a bunch of them. And, I know a lot of these singles, and some of them I knew for a long time, some of them I've only recently become acquainted with, but yeah, so it's kind of like a band that I go back to childhood with versus one that I'm more currently kind of excited by, even though a lot of the material I did know back then. So that's kind of where those two bands sort of sit with me, and where they come from for me. But let's get into the actual track versus track here. So coming in number 11 from the Guess Who, I have a song that, I don't know, I kind of feel like I ranked this a little low. Like it maybe should be above the next two, but that's where it's going to sit now. So, I mean, that's how we're going to do it. Star Baby. Yeah, Star Baby. This is from 1974 from the Road Food album. And now this is a song that I don't remember where I heard it for the first time or how I became aware of it, because I don't really remember hearing it on the radio as a kid. And I don't have any specific memories of ever hearing it on the radio, really, but I know the song. Recently I was poking around on YouTube, here on YouTube, looking at Midnight Special videos. Midnight Special has their own channel, and they have all kinds of amazing stuff up. And there was a video of them doing the song, and I'm like, oh yeah, that song. And I just knew the song. I don't know where I know it from. Didn't have the record, don't remember it from the radio, but it was a hit. So obviously I heard it at some point and just didn't realize I was hearing it, and it went deep in the brain. All right, that goes against what I have at number 11 on the Doobie Brothers list, which is a song I would have ranked way higher back in the day. Back when I was like, 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, I would have ranked this probably in the top 5. Still love it, but it's all the way down at the bottom now, and that is Taking It to the Streets. Yeah, Taking It to the Streets from the album of the same name. It's from 1976. And of course, that is the moment, the exact moment where Michael McDonald completely takes over and the Doobie Brothers become an entirely different animal. I mean, you could say that Michael McDonald, Doobie Brothers is sort of like, the Doobies equivalent of Van Hagar. And you wouldn't be wrong. Only difference is I like Michael McDonald era Doobie Brothers. That would be the difference. But, alright, so anyway, Taking It to the Streets versus Star Baby. What do I prefer? Ooh. That's actually kind of tough, because both are great songs, but there are different things at play here. As I mentioned, Taking It to the Streets, I have ranked it much lower than I would have back in the day. I've gotten tired of it. It's still a great song. I don't think it's a bad song. I don't think it's less of a song than I ever did. I just don't enjoy it as much as I used to. I burnt out on this one. Star Baby, I haven't. So do I want to take Star Baby over that just because I'm not as tired of it? It's it's always such a difficult decision to make. I mean, which way do you go? I mean, I don't really have a catch-all sort of rule about how that goes. You just kind of have to go on a case-by-case basis. And I'm stalling. Star Baby versus Taking It to the Streets. But man, I'm gonna give it to the Guess Who. Oh, should I do a tally sheet? I guess I'll do a tally sheet. 1 second. All right, tally sheet. So we got Guess Who versus Doobies. All right, so the Guess Who got the first one. Okay. All right, so coming in at number 10 for the Guess Who, I have No Sugar Tonight in My Coffee, No Sugar Tonight in My Tea. Yeah, No Sugar Tonight. Now, that's from the American Woman album from 1970, the last album they did with Randy Bachman. And that also I'd never heard on the radio, that I recall as a kid. Where I first heard this, I actually do remember when I first heard it. Well, I first heard just a bit of it, I guess I should say. In 1983, 84, it would have been probably 84 when the commercial happened. There was a commercial that was on MTV a lot. Anybody watching MTV at the time would remember this, and you Guess Who fans would certainly know about this. In 83, the Guess Who did a full original lineup reunion, or a classic original lineup, not really original, but the classic four. Did a bunch of reunion shows in 83, and they put out, I guess in 84, a live reunion album from those shows called Reunion, imaginatively titled. And there was a commercial that was on MTV all the time that I used to see, and I always remember seeing it, and I remember that one little clip of Burton Cummings going, well, actually, I think we were a better band in the summer of 1983 than we were in the summer of 69. I always remember that one little moment. I'm sitting here with his poofy hair and his mustache, and that the commercial kind of was almost like one of those K-Tel, or Silver Eagle Records sort of commercial where they would have little bits of some of the hits. And in the commercial was, no sugar tonight in my coffee, no sugar tonight in my tea. And it's just that little bit, and that's all I heard. But that is the first I ever heard that song. And then down the road, eventually I started hearing on the radio and oldie stations and stuff, and it's a great song. But anyway, so that comes in, where that goes up against what I have at number 10 on the Doobies list. Oh, man. Ooh. Dependent on You from the Minute by Minute album. Ooh, from 1979. The Minute by Minute album came out in 78, but late 78, so all the singles were 79. And man, Dependent on You was kind of like it was a little bit of a B-level hit. Like, you heard it on the radio, but it wasn't up there with the other singles from that album. What a Fool Believes, Minute by Minute. Those were like the blockbuster hits. Dependent on You was kind of like the next level down, but it was all over the radio too. That's a Pat Simmons song from that album. And God, that's a good one. Darling, you're always there at my rescue, depending on you. Yeah, that one. Man, but that versus No Sugar Tonight. Ooh. this is really tough. Even at the bottom end of this list, this is kind of tough stuff. I gotta go Doobies on that. Yeah, I gotta go Doobies on that. Now, Dependent on You is I think one of the reasons is why I just like the song a bit more. It has a little bit more of a milquetoast vibe than No Sugar Tonight. No Sugar Tonight kind of has a little bit more earth to it, and it's a little, but Dependent on You was a big hit that didn't really get overplayed. You know what I mean? I'm not sick of that one like I am Taking It to the Streets. And so it kind of has that little... there's a little bit of a warm bath, like taking me back to that moment in time kind of vibe with that I can't ignore. So the Doobies get that. Okay. So coming in number 9 on the Guess Who list, I have Hand Me Down World. Don't give me no hand-me-down shoes. Yeah, from 1970, from the Share the Land album, the first post Randy Bachman album. And the descending guitar bit at the beginning of that totally reminds me of Waterloo Sunset, the one at the beginning of Waterloo Sunset. Right? Have you ever noticed that before? But yeah. Okay, well that goes against what I have at number 9 on the Doobies list. Another Park, Another Sunday. Another lonely park, another Sunday, from 1974, from What Were Once Vices Are Now Habits. One of their best albums. And a really underrated single. It was kind of a B-level hit, like you heard it on the radio, but it wasn't like a hit. But I would almost consider it a bit of a dark horse amongst the singles. But Another Park, Another Sunday, man, that's a good one. That against Hand Me Down World. I gotta go Doobies again. Yeah, a big part of me wants to give it to Hand Me Down World, but Another Park, Another Sunday. I guess I love that one more. Okay. All right. So Doobies have 2. Guess Who has 1. All right. Well, coming in at number 8 on the Guess Who list, I have... Now, this was just a single. It was a non-LP single. And so I'm kind of figuring in both songs because they both charted. From 1971, Albert Flasher / Broken. Now, people here in the U.S. won't really know those songs. Those definitely weren't on the radio here. But if you're in Canada, yeah, if you're Canadian, you absolutely know those songs, and you heard both of them, I'm sure, with great regularity. And they're both great tracks. Now, they're new to me because we didn't grow up with those here, and this also goes back to going through the Midnight Special stuff, where they did Broken. I don't think they did on any of those, but I listened to the track, online. And now Albert Flasher is a great song, but I have to admit I kind of prefer that Midnight Special live performance. I think it's a little bit better. It just kind of has a little bit more to it, It's kind of like the Unleashed in the East, Kiss Alive kind of thing, where the live version just kind of has that extra bit the studio one doesn't have, the Frampton Comes Alive vibe. The B-side, though, or the double A, I don't know if it was double A, Broken, is a really great, just like hard rockin' Guess Who track that I think just kicks ass. So that's a little tough. But that goes up against what I have at number 8 on the Doobies list, which is China Grove. Yeah, China Grove, 1973, from the Captain and Me album. Nothing a little ginger ale can't help. Man. Well, every single American watching this right now is going, oh, come on, you know what you have to pick. But all you people from Canada, you're thinking quite the opposite, aren't you? Yeah, again, this this contest is between the tried and true, but pretty played out, and the kind of slightly more exciting and fresher and newer to my own ears. You know, I have those two things going against each other, but really the old standby, tried and true, way played out track is better. China Grove is better. I'm just more sick of it. I have to go China Grove. Yeah. And Albert Flasher is really great. Again, the Midnight Special live version, awesome. But China Grove, I gotta go with that. Okay. I'm currently on a really big Guess Who kick, so I'm really hoping they don't lose, but we'll see how this goes. Okay, so coming in at number 7 on the Guess Who list, I have Rain Dance from 1971. Yeah, that's from the So Long Benetine, I still don't know how to pronounce that, album. And Rain Dance is the opening track on that record, and that is a great single. Talk about one that I never heard, or we never heard on the radio here. That was, you did not hear that in the U.S. Not to my knowledge. I certainly never heard it, and I've never heard it on any air checks that I have. But again, anybody in Canada, this is a stone classic to you, and it's a great, great song, man. I love this one. And that goes up against what I have at number 7 on the Doobies list, Real Love from 1980, from the final album of the original run of the band, One Step Closer. And that you couldn't escape when that was a hit. That was a huge hit in 1980. You heard that every day, more than once. So yeah. Now this is another one of those kind of choices where Real Love I really loved back in the day, and it's kind of a classic, and this is versus for me personally. Now I will say that this is one of those tracks, one of those big hits from back in the time that kind of still exists in that time only, because you have things like What a Fool Believes and Minute by Minute that have sort of carried on, and you'll still hear them and people still talk about them, and they're almost timeless at this point. Whereas Real Love kind of didn't really make it out of that moment in time. It was a giant radio hit then, but nobody talks about it now. It doesn't have the life that What a Fool Believes or Minute by Minute or that kind of stuff, or even Taking It to the Streets have now. But it was giant at the time. Now, and then Rain Dance, of course, is basically new to me. I mean, I heard that for the very first time in my life, a couple of months ago, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, maybe. And and they're very, 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 very different kinds of tracks. It's really. Now I will say, I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, I was gonna say I think Rain Dance is a better song, because that's the thing. Real Love is kind of is more of a vibe and a groove and an atmosphere than a strong song. It's not that catchy in a sense. Like, it doesn't have a really strong chorus that they go to. It's just kind of like it's a vibe that I love. A vibe that takes me right to that moment in time when I was 10, and I loved the hell out of the song, and it's just, it's a warm bath track, to say the least. Rain Dance is really dynamic and really kind of cool, and really, kind of really upbeat and kind of whimsical, but kind of rocking at the same time. God, but I have to go with the Doobies. I have to go with the Doobies. My 1980 10-year-old me is just going, dude, you know what you got to do. Okay, all right. Okay. Unfortunately, the Doobies are really, really taking this so far. Okay, well, let's see where it goes. Number 6. Coming in number 6 on the Guess Who list, I have Share the Land. Baby, I'll be there to shake your hand. Baby, I'll be there to share the land. And that is from 1970, from the album of the same name. Now, this one I first heard on a commercial on TV, but I'm pretty sure now, and this absolutely epitomizes everything about this video, wasn't Share the Land on the Freedom Rock comp in the mid 80s? I think it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Share the Land was on the Freedom Rock. So, like, when you saw the classic Freedom Rock commercial, and they showed, had the lists of all the tracks on the comp that would roll on the screen, and every once in a while one of them would play just like a moment of the track. Pretty sure one of those was, maybe I'll be there to shake your hand, maybe I'll be there to share the land. And that would be the very first time I ever heard a note of this song. And for a while, that's all I knew of it, was just that one little bit from that commercial. Down the road at some point, I heard the whole thing, and I don't remember when that was. It wasn't recently. It was years ago, but at some point I came to know the actual song. And well, anyway, that goes up against what I have at number 6, a song that I didn't grow up with because I didn't have this album. I didn't get this album until maybe 15, 20 years ago. Maybe sometime in the mid-2000s, probably, really. And I didn't realize it was a single. I got this record for the first time. This was the opening track, and I thought it was great. And I was really happy to find that it was a single because I really love this track. And that is Wheels of Fortune from 1976, which is the opening track on the Taken to the Streets album. Yeah, I finally, after seeing 100 million used copies of that for $2 or $3, I finally picked one up, and ended up really liking that album a lot. And Wheels of Fortune, what a great track. And I'll tell you something else about that track. That track is actually very significant to As It Should Be, because anybody who goes back to the original As It Should Be audio podcast, you'll remember there was a theme song, right, for that. Well, that theme song was basically the instrumental section of this song with me singing over the top. Yeah. So basically the backing track of that theme is actually literally just the instrumental section of Wheels of Fortune from the Doobie Brothers. So there you go. It's a little bit of As It Should Be trivia for you. But yeah, okay, so we have Share the Land versus Wheels of Fortune. And God, that's no contest. The Doobie Brothers. I absolutely love Wheels of Fortune more than Share the Land. Wow. And again, the Guess Who is the band I'm more excited about at the moment, but boy, they are losing. Boy, are they losing. Okay, all right. Coming in number 5. Coming in number 5 on the Guess Who list, I have, oh man, woo, we're getting into the really, really, really good stuff now. From 1971. From the So Long Benetine album, Benetine, Sour Sweet. Oh, Sour Sweet. Again, you Canadians, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, Sour Sweet. Now, Sour Sweet is an epic. It's Burton Cummings' epic, beautiful piano ballad, I meant to say, that is just so damn good. And that goes up against what I have at number 5 on the Doobie Brothers list, which is the song that was the most difficult to rank out of this whole list, because it is by far, and this will tell you what it is, by far the most played out of any of the songs on the list. Yes, everybody, let's say it together. What a Fool Believes. Now, of course, in 1979, 1980, or whatever, this would have been, at least in the top 2. My number 1 might have been my number 1 then, possibly, but this would have been up there. But What a Fool Believes versus Sour Sweet. Man. This is a drinker. But I know what I'm going to choose. I'm going with Sour Sweet. Yeah, I'm giving that to the Guess Who. I'm going with Sour Sweet over What a Fool Believes. Now, obviously I have the full history with What a Fool Believes. I remember when that was a brand new song on the radio. I've gone the whole distance with that thing, from the moment it hit the radio till now, when absolutely everybody knows what it is and uses that as the, very reference to yacht rock. And, But Sour Sweet, and that is a new track to me, but I think I love it more. I even think, well, it's tough. It's tough to say which is a better song, because they're both stellar songs, both of them. But I simply, at this moment in time, I love Sour Sweet more. I'm giving that to the Guess Who. Okay, all right. So let's go up to number 4. What I have at number 4 on the Guess Who list. Oh man, another one. Yeah, we're getting into the stuff. Yeah, my number 4 on the Guess Who list from 1973, from the number 10 album, Glamour Boy. Oh, Glamour Boy. Oh man, what a song. What a fucking song. Now, that is a song that I think did get a little play back in the day, but I didn't hear it then. Now, I became familiar with this song maybe within the last 5 years. I don't remember exactly when, but I became familiar with this song through, I mentioned air checks, radio air checks. I listened to a lot of radio air checks as I've mentioned before on a lot of other videos, and I have some probably 1973 air check, maybe 74, where this song pops up, and I didn't know what it was. It just comes up, and I'm just like, whoa, what is this? It's just like this really cool sounding kind of glammy sort of dramatic glam ballad that's just so cool. Great, incredible vocals, great chord changes, beautiful melody. I'm like, my God, what is this? Who is this? And I look it up, and I think I Shazammed it. I'm like, holy shit, this is the Guess Who? Wow. And I think that kind of was one of the things that sowed the seeds for me to really start, or one of the things that sowed the seeds for me to start digging into Guess Who, because I heard that, and I'm like, okay, you know what? If this is the Guess Who, then they have some shit. They have stuff I need to hear. Clearly, I need to go dig in past American Woman and check this stuff out. And yes, Glamour Boy. And of course, this is a song that Burton Cummings wrote in '73, kind of poking fun at David Bowie, because Burton Cummings was threatened by Bowie. Bowie was this whole new thing, and everybody was like, oh my God, what is this space alien that I don't understand? He's weird. And, you know, Burton Cummings didn't get it, and he was threatened by it, and he wrote this song kind of lampooning Bowie, but of course, ultimately, down the road, he did become a fan, and it became clear that Bowie was Bowie, and he became a fan, and he's, you know, in his own words, now when he performs that song, he performs it in tribute to Bowie, because, you know, he wised up. Glamour Boy, number 4, goes against what I have at number 4 on the Doobie Brothers list. Ooh, which is Long Train Runnin' from 1973 from the Captain and Me album. Oh man, what a classic to end all classics, and definitely one of the more if we're real here, one of the more played out singles of the original Tom Johnston era. But that song is so kick-ass that it kind of transcends that. Like, it's still really great, even though you don't really need to hear it again, ever. And this is another one of those where I couldn't say which is the better song, because these are both incredible songs. Entirely different types of... You know, Long Train Runnin' is a really great soulful rocker. Like, straight-ahead rock, but soulful at the same time. And Glamour Boy, like I said, is like a dramatic, glam, epic ballad that's just, and it's beautiful. And I'm giving it to Glamour Boy because that is just one of my favorite songs right now. I can't go against that song. Yeah, Glamour Boy gets that. Sorry, Doobies fans. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're coming in number 3 on the Guess Who list. Now, this is a song, I feel like, you know, this is one that I've known for years and years and years. I would hear it, you know, throughout the 80s on, you know, oldie stations, classic rock stations and stuff. And this came out the year I was born. I was born in 1969. This came out in 1969. It was originally on the Canned Weed album, but that version is slightly different. They re-recorded it, put it on the American Woman album, and put it out as a single, and that's No Time. Yeah, No Time, man. Oh, God. Now, No Time, I was struggling. Do I want to put Glamour Boy above No Time? No Time above Glamour Boy? In the end, yeah, No Time I actually have to put up higher, because what a great, great, great track that is. What a great classic hit that is. And, well, that goes up against what I have at number 3 on the Doobies list. Oh, which is one that runs deep. Boy, do I remember this from back in the day. From before I even knew who the Doobie Brothers were, I was hearing this song on the radio, and I was loving it. Black Water. Oh, yeah. I believe their very first number one hit. Yeah, Pat Simmons' song from the What Were Once Vices Are Now Habits album from 1974. I have this distinct memory as a kid of being in the backseat of the car, and I don't remember who I was with. It was like my dad and like a friend of his or something. There was some other adult that I don't remember who they were, or maybe even didn't know at the time, was part of this. But somebody, or maybe it was my uncle, somebody, all I know is that Black Water was on the radio, and I remember there being this thing where it was like, they did this little thing where it was like, okay, I'm gonna sing the ending. I wanna hear some funky Dixieland, pretty mama, come and take me by the hand. And they did this little game where he's like singing with the radio, and they would turn it down, and he would keep on singing it, and turn the radio back up, and if he was still in sync with the track. And I remember them doing that, playing around with the song, and he kept in sync with the track, and yeah, that's all. So when I think of that song, sometimes I just picture the back of somebody's feathered hair, in the front seat, singing along to the radio, and it getting turned down and turned back up again. And yeah, so this song goes way back for me, back to 1974. Blackwater against No Time. Ooh. I remember when I was hearing this a lot, again, when I was hearing this a lot on oldie stations, No Time, I think I thought it was the Buffalo Springfield. I don't think I knew it was the Guess Who. I think I thought it was the Buffalo Springfield, but it's a little Buffalo Springfield-ish. But that's neither here nor there. I have to choose between these songs. This is a tough one. Oh God, this is now okay. You know what? This is really a tie. Choosing between Blackwater and No Time. And No Time isn't, it's something that I've known for a long time, so it doesn't have that new car smell on it like, Sour Sweet and Glamour Boy do, Okay, I guess I'm gonna give it to the Doobie Brothers. Again, this is really a tie. I really love both just as much. I'm gonna give it to the Doobie Brothers just because I almost want to give it to No Time because I'm a little tired of I've heard Blackwater so much more, and it doesn't have the new car smell. No Time, while that one also I go back with that one, that still is kind of fresher for me. But I have to go with Blackwater. Okay, but that much. Okay. So my top two. Coming in number 2 on the Guess Who list. Now this is another one of those singles that it's kind of like a double A. Originally it wasn't. Originally it had an A-side and a B-side, but it became a double A, I think, because the B-side became a hit in its own right and charted in its own right. And so I'm kind of putting them here together. And this comes in at number 2 because of the B-side, which became its own hit, not the A-side. And that is Laughing / Undone from 1969 from the Canned Weed album. Yes, that is at number 2. This is at number 2 because of Undone. Now, Laughing, if it was just Laughing, it would be down like below Sour Sweet, maybe even below Share the Land. It would be a lot lower. It'd be maybe in the middle of the list. I like the song, but not number 2. Undone, on the other hand, is absolutely incredible. A fucking gorgeous track, incredible jazzy thing that Bachman brought into the band, and it's incredible. And that goes up against what I have at number 2 on the Doobies list. Oh God, which is Minute by Minute. Yeah, Minute by Minute. I have at number 2 from obviously the album of the same name. Single came out in 1979. Whew. Now again, Laughing is really is kind of really technically the A-side of that single, but this is between Undone and Minute by Minute. Oh, God. Oh. Ginger ale time. She's come undone. I didn't know what she was headed for, and when she found what she was headed for, it was too late. She's come undone. Minute by minute. Which I'm not going to try to sing, because Mike McDonald, and who can do I'm not going to try to do Mike McDonald. Not right now, because when you do Michael McDonald, it's just comedic. And this is a serious moment. Oh my God, Minute by Minute versus Undone. Okay, I've decided. This is painful, but I have decided. I'm giving it to the Guess Who. Yeah, I'm going with Undone. It was too late, yeah. It's too late. She's gone too far. She's lost the sun. She's come undone. Yeah, man, yeah. That so barely wins. Okay, alright. Which brings me to my number ones. My number one on the Guess Who list. You might have guessed at this point because I haven't mentioned it, and obviously it's going to be on the list. I would have to get my head examined if it wasn't. These Eyes, yeah, the breakthrough hit here in the US. This is the moment when they arrive internationally, right? From 1969, from the Wheatfield Soul album, their very first album to come out here in the US. Well, I guess the first significant release, in the US. Anyway, yeah, These Eyes. And that's a song I remember from way back. Didn't know who it was, but I remember it from the radio as a kid, of course, because it was a giant smash-ass hit. It was a blockbuster. And that goes up against what I have at number one on the Doobies list, which I remember from back then, too. Oh, my God, and I loved this one, and I still love it. And it's at number one from 1972, from the second album, Toulouse Street. Listen to the music. Oh, oh, Jesus Christ. More ginger ale. These Eyes versus Listen to the Music? Okay. Yeah, I go all. Listen. I go all the way back with both of these. Well, These Eyes technically came out before I was born because I was born later on in the year, but it's always been there from the moment I was born. Listen to the music. I distinctly remember when that was a current hit on the radio because I was like 3 years old when that was playing. And, again, my aunt had the Best of the Doobies album, and that was one of my favorite songs on that track. It's been one of my favorite Doobie Brothers tracks always, for as long as I've been aware of the Doobie Brothers, which has been pretty much most of my life. These Eyes, what an incredible song. Again, this is an instance where they're both incredible songs. I can't really say which one is the better song. They're both absolutely incredible songs. Can I use the word incredible again? I need to unpack my adjectives here, but man, Listen to the Music always had. It's a really kind of upbeat, sort of happy kind of song that always had this little bit of an ethereal undertone to me. That's something about some of the chord changes. Some are happy, some are sad. Just like that little part, there's a little dip in the mood there for like a moment. I almost can't really explain how this song felt and sounded to me just atmospherically as a kid. It was kind of magical. It was always like this magical track. And These Eyes is just an epic beautiful ballad with some of the best vocals you're ever going to hear. I mean, Burton Cummings is one of the best singers ever. Period. Okay? And, God. Okay. I think I know what I'm going to choose. I think. As I say it, I start to second guess myself. This is a tie, but you know, got to break the tie. But when it comes right down to it, right down to the nitty-gritty, I got to give it to the Doobies. But that is a painful one. I really want to give it to These Eyes, and These Eyes deserves to get it. Make no mistake about that. But I think I listen to the music just runs a little deeper in my veins. And yeah, so I have to give that to the Doobies. Okay, all right. Well, here we go. So the Doobies, of course, won. They got 7. Doobies got 7. Guess Who got 4. So yeah, the Doobies ran away with it, but I think that's just because a lot of these Doobie singles do run a little deeper for me. But I'm more interested and more excited by the Guess Who at this exact moment in time. But even with that, yeah, this some of this Doobie stuff is pretty potent. Unless you don't like the Doobies. I know, Tastes Like Music, Jason loves the Doobies. He's probably watching this right now, savoring every moment, because I know he loves the Doobie Brothers. No, he doesn't. I don't think either he or Joe like the Doobie Brothers, but they're wrong. Okay. All right, well, there you go. Well, that's my ranking and track versus track of my top 10 Guess Who and Doobie Brothers singles, the Dollar Bin Dad Rock Special. And, well, thank you for watching this video and all the videos, and thank you for subscribing if you have. If you haven't, maybe consider subscribing. But if you do, click the little bell so notifications, or else you won't know when new videos come out. But come back this Thursday, because Crystal Durant and Tommy Von Voigt are going to be back here in the world-famous As It Should Be Studios, and we are going to be doing an album review. Yeah, this time around, it is Crystal's choice for an album review, and she chose 1989's Fruit at the Bottom by Wendy and Lisa. Yeah, Wendy and Lisa's second album, and we all come in here and review that album. Well, maybe come back on Thursday and find out what we thought about it. All right, hopefully I'll see you then. Okay, actually, wait, I realized something that I didn't address in the video, and there are so many people going, huh? What happened here? No American Woman on my Guess Who list. That is correct. You know, I really loved that song in the 70s. I don't love it now. You know, out of all these songs, out of every, even between Guess Who and the Doobie Brothers songs that I got tired of, that is the one I just don't like anymore. I loved it. Like, as a kid in the 70s, I thought it was great. It was totally rockin' American Woman, you know, but I don't like it anymore. And, you know, ranking, if it was a full ranking of all their singles, it would have been maybe not far below number 11. It just didn't make the top 11. So, sorry all you Guess Who fans. Sorry you people going, where the hell's American Woman? I didn't forget it. It just ranks below number 11 for me. So that's that.